So as a Winston-Salem native, I know that BB&T's contributions to our local economy and charitable causes have helped a lot in a lot of parts of our state. So the name means a lot to our community, and I'm happy to have you here, Mr. King, along with you, Mr. Rogers. Look, we all know that this is a political hearing. Both your banks are strong. Both your banks are following a detailed merger process. And the North Carolina Commissioner of Banks, Ray Grace, approved this about 2 weeks ago on July 10th. That being said, I've got a couple of questions. I want to start with you, Mr. King. Can you tell this committee more about your experience back, this is maybe a decade or two ago, back when you were in Wilson, North Carolina. You moved to Winston-Salem, so a bigger community, leaving a smaller community. And how did Wilson fare after you moved to Winston-Salem?
Thank you, Representative. I think that is a very insightful and fair question because that was a merger of equals as well. Our company, BB&T, merged in a merger of equals with Southern National Company. And as a part of the transaction, we did move our headquarters out of Wilson, a town of about 30,000 people. There was great concern at that time in the community that the loss of jobs would be catastrophic. We told the community at that time that we were merging to go forward, to grow and prosper, and that we thought that it would be good for the community. And in fact, at the time we did the merger in 1995, we had about 1,000 employees there, and today we have over 2,000 employees there. The community has continued to thrive. We are in fact building a brand new state-of-the-art headquarters there today as we speak. And so it has turned out to be very good for Wilson. It has turned out to be very good for Winston-Salem. Just as I believe the truest combination will be good for Atlanta, good for Winston-Salem, and good for Charlotte.
Thank you. So following up, and this is a bit the inverse of my colleague Mr. Hill from Arkansas, his questions, which was about rural communities. So my question is, what role do you see rural communities playing in the future of your business? I want to see how you're engaged there and how does Truist plan to stay involved in small town America?
We believe very strongly, Representative, in supporting rural America. Rural America is at the roots, if you will, of our great country. We grew up as a farm bank, and for almost my entire career, we have served almost predominantly rural areas. We will continue to be deeply committed to rural areas. We have expressed that through our action. Over the years, we have acquired major institutions in West Virginia, in Kentucky. We have expanded in our old markets of North Carolina and South Carolina. We are active in southern Georgia. We like, to be honest, small markets as well or better than large markets. They're all really important. So I can say to you, I firmly believe that our commitment to small rural America will be no less than it has been in the past and will almost certainly be greater because we will have more capacity to make more investments in those communities. Just like recently, we made a $5 million commitment to West Virginia to help fight the opioid crisis. Recently, we committed $5 million in eastern North Carolina to help build and restore housing that were wiped out by floods. We're building headquarters, as I mentioned, in Wilson, but also in Whiteville. We're doing things in small communities today that we simply don't have to do by any regulation or any mandate. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
You know, every time you mentioned a different area, I can put faces and names with those stories. So thank you so much for what you're doing there. Now, Mr. Rogers, continuing on, how do you think rural and smaller communities will fare as technology advances the business of banking? You know, things are changing, but how can you make sure that the rural and these smaller communities don't get left behind when it comes to technology?
I think that'll be critical, and that's one of the key reasons for this merger is to afford the opportunity to reach out to all of our communities, and rural communities will be a big part of that. If you think today of sort of what a tractor looks like and think about all the technology that exists on that, that's the same with financial services. Those rural communities want the same type of benefits and the same type of opportunities. They want to deal with financial services just like they deal with everything else that's part of their infrastructure. And I think this is going to afford us the opportunity. I think we'll really be the bank that'll be recognized for physically and digitally and humanly serving rural markets.
Very good. I think my time has nearly expired. Mr. Chair, I yield back.